Hi, everyone, and thanks for checking out this movie review. So, today we'll be going on with the current horror franchise that I'm looking at in this month of September, and that is the Halloween franchise. And today we're going to be taking a look at Halloween 4: The Return of Michael Myers. So, yeah, we'll just kind of go through the setup and the premise and the cast, and then I'll get into my thoughts and review, which will contain spoilers, of course. So, Halloween 4: The Return of Michael Myers is a 1988 American slasher film directed by Dwight H. Little, written by Alan McElroy, and starring Donald Pleasance, Ellie Cornell, and Danielle Harris. The fourth installment of the Halloween franchise, it follows Michael Myers returning to Haddonfield after being in a coma to kill his niece Jamie Lloyd, the daughter of Laurie Strode, with his former psychiatrist Dr. Sam Loomis again pursuing him. So basically, the film opens on October 30th, 1988, and Michael Myers, who's been in a comatose state for 10 years since the explosion at the end of part two, is being transferred to Smiths Grove Sanitarium by an ambulance. Um, Upon hearing that he has a niece that lives in Haddonfield, he wakes up, basically kills the ambulance driver, and the other personnel, causes the ambulance to lose control. And Michael escapes, makes his way to Haddonfield. Um, Dr. Sam Loomis, Michael's former psychiatrist, learns of his escapes and gives chase to Michael. Meanwhile, Jamie Lloyd, Laurie Strode's daughter and Michael's niece, is living in Haddonfield with her foster family, the Carruthers. Although Jamie knows about Michael, she does not realize he's the man she has nightmares about. On Halloween night, the parents go to a party and leave Rachel, the teenage daughter, to babysit Jamie, which forces her to cancel the date with her boyfriend Brady. Uh, Michael arrives in Haddonfield, steals a mask from the same store where Jamie and Rachel happen to be. He almost attacks the former, but he is forced to flee when Jamie screams and alerts Rachel. So that's kind of the setup and the premise of the film. I kind of did a summarized version of it because it's a really long explanation, setup or premise, story of the movie. So, cast wise, we have Donald Pleasance, of course, returning as Dr. Sam Loomis. Ellie Cornell as Rachel Carruthers, Danielle Harris as Jamie Lloyd, George P. Wilbur as Michael Myers, Michael Pataki as Dr. Hoffman, Bew Starr as Sheriff Ben Meeker, Kathleen Kinmont as Kelly Meeker, and Sasha Jensen as Brady. So yeah, Halloween 4: The Return of Michael Myers from 1988. So this is definitely a fan favorite in the franchise, for most people. Um, I think it's a fairly entertaining watch. I do have some issues with it, but overall, I could put this on around Halloween fairly easily, but along with the first three movies, and really the first four movies I can put on or around Halloween pretty much every year. So let's just get into it. I got to starting with the pros. I don't know, a lot of people mentioned, but I really like the opening. It doesn't have like the pumpkin, uh, carved out pumpkin, the jack o' lantern in the corner with the opening credits, but instead it shows like a sort of an outdoor fall harvest, different images that would go on, like tractors and things like that. It's just, I thought it was really effective. It really gets you in the mood for this kind of movie. And so, yeah, that was really great. I enjoyed the opening credits there. You have great characters in this movie, especially the leads. Obviously, Donald Pleasance as Dr. Loomis is played really well again in this movie, really on point. But also the two female characters, Jamie, played by Danielle Harris, and Rachel, played by Ellie Cornell, are really sympathetic, strong characters. I feel like, and you really feel for them in this movie as they're being chased by their Jamie's deranged uncle, Michael Myers. I think both actresses give pretty good performances in this movie. Um, but yeah, as an audience, we really kind of root for him and we care about what happens to him. Also, the side characters are fairly likable in this movie, or fairly they give us a little bit about them. Uh, like the sheriff Ben Meeker and his daughter Kelly, and even Brady, the boyfriend. Whether they're all likable characters or not's a different thing, but we kind of come to know about it. So when some of them get killed in the movie, there's a little bit more than just fodder. I mean, you actually have some. I don't want to say feelings, but you care a little bit more than you do in other slasher movies. I guess I just feel like they're better side characters than some other horror movies that we tend to get. Um, I think there's great overall Halloween atmosphere in this movie, even probably even more so than the first couple of movies, just with all the kids trick or treating and everything that goes on from on a Halloween standpoint. Is a really effective setting, especially towards the middle and the end, where they're all hiding in the sheriff's house, I believe it is, and Michael's in there and he does some trickery and some things, and it's dark and just they do a great job with camera work and building up suspense during that part. Great atmosphere there, great suspense really through that part through the end of the movie actually. Um, I think Michael's played a little less robotic by George P. Wilbur, who I think does a pretty good job playing Michael. Not as good as Nick Castle, but I do like him. I think a little bit better in this movie than I did Dick Warlock. Was it Dick Warlock in the second movie? I might be saying the wrong name. No, I think that's right. He's just a little too robotic in that movie. In this movie, he's pretty good as far as how he's portrayed and played and move, the movements and everything. Um, you got to talk about the ending, of course, when you talk about Halloween for one of the great twist surprise endings in any horror movie, really, certainly any Halloween movie. The first time I watched it, I had my mouth open for about 25 minutes, I think, after the movie ended. Just great. I mean, I didn't see it coming. It's what you want out of a horror movie, leaving the audience on the edge of their seat with like a WTF moment basically, and they really do that. They really deliver, especially the actors and actresses in that scene. Donald Pleasance, his reaction and his yelling, "No, no," and trying to shoot. And I mean, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, just a great ending. Definitely one of the best parts of the movie. Um, it's definitely a more brutal Michael Myers. This is where he went from being sort of part like half human, half supernatural. Now he's all supernatural. There's no more human elements to him here. He's basically the Terminator. He's unstoppable. He's unkillable. Kind of like what Jason becomes with Friday the 13th Part 6. And then going forward, it's kind of the same thing here. We get more, well, he's not zombie Michael. He's definitely more supernatural, undefeatable Michael. Um, the kills are really gory and effective in this movie. There's some pretty decent gore, I would say, but the kills are more creative, more brutal. There's a good score with sort of an updated, more modern tone to the famous Halloween theme in this movie. It uses the theme, but it's just more 1988 than like 1978, if that makes sense. It's just a little bit more modern. So yeah, those are my pros for the most part. Overall, it's a pretty entertaining Halloween movie to watch within this franchise. Um, but I'll get into some cons why it's not quite as good as the first two Halloween movies, or even, well, we'll see about the third one, which is obviously not a Michael Myers movie. Cons, you got to start with the mask. I mean, my God. One thing I don't understand in this franchise, and I'll get into this more as I get towards the end, is why does the mask have to look different in every movie? And in this movie, it's just brutal. I mean, it's so much worse than the first two movies. I really can't stand him. Unfortunately, George P. Wilbur, who I says gives a good performance as Michael in terms of his movement and how he plays the character. You just can't get past the mask though, unless he's like in a dark room or that dark house and where it's more in the shadows. That's about the only time that it's not even effective, but you just can't see it, so it's not as bad. But that's the biggest sore thumb in this movie. The explanation given at the beginning to the audience by some random guard, who, by the way, delivers very crappy. His recap of what happened and how we got here and how Michael's still alive and how Loomis is still alive. He just doesn't deliver it well at all. They should have had Loomis explain it to somebody at the sanitarium or something that he works at. That would have been, and the audience would have probably appreciated it more too, coming from a trusted voice. It also really stretches one's imagination and credulity and story to believe that Myers and Loomis could survive that explosion. I mean, maybe Myers, if he's more supernatural, could being put into a comatose state for 10 years, but Dr. Loomis just a regular human. I mean, what did he have something fall on him that protected him from the flames and the explosion? I mean, It's a horror movie. I mean, I know you can't have a lot of logic involved, but still, it's something that definitely is kind of like an eyebrow raiser for me. The biggest thing about this movie, well, I said it's entertaining. It really doesn't do anything different. It's the ultimate formulaic um, slasher movie. There's nothing too original here. It really tries to go after the first movie in a very formulaic way. Um, Other than the ending, there really isn't anything. And actually, even the ending, they try to steal from the original, kind of a surprise ending, take your breath away ending. I think the fact that Michael is less human and more and all supernatural in this movie, it kind of makes him a less interesting killer, a less interesting, villain, if you will. I actually prefer more. I did with Jason too, the first four movies compared to six and beyond. With Michael, it was the first two movies I preferred him a little bit more because he had more of a human element. Here, he's just, I mean, he's as unstoppable as I said before, and that just makes him, the kills are definitely more brutal because of it, but it also makes him a little less interesting, in my opinion. Also, if you watch the movie, there's quite a bit of inconsistency with the burn makeup that they put on Loomis's face. At the beginning, it kind of looks like he's melting, and later in the movie, it's much smoother. I know they did a lot of reshoots and things like that with it, but yeah, I guess my two biggest cons are just the fact there's nothing original here. It's just a formulaic Halloween slasher movie, and the mask, the Michael Myers mask, is brutal in this movie. But other than that, I can't really complain too much. It's a movie that I can watch. I mean, as a sequel goes to the original, it doesn't come close to the original, but it's still an enjoyable enough movie. You have good characters, once again, led by Donald Pleasance as Dr. Loomis. They ratcheted up the kills, the gore a little bit more. There's pretty good suspense, especially in the house with the dark and the shadows and everything. Yeah, I mean it's fine. It's a good Halloween slasher movie. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 once again on my rating. Go ahead and comment down below. Tell me what you think. I know it's a fan favorite. I think a little bit of it is the fact that I liked Halloween 3 more than some other people. I know the reason they went back to this kind of formula and slasher with Michael Myers is because a lot of people didn't like Halloween 3 and they were asking where he was. And you give us a Halloween movie, we expect Michael Myers. And I'm not quite like that. I mean, I like the idea of a yearly anthology Halloween movie. But again, they're going to go with where they're going to go. They're going to follow the money. They're going to go what the fans wanted, which is following the money. And so, of course, they return to Michael Myers, and that's what we get. Of course, the rest of the franchise, and they're still making movies with Michael Myers yet. So I might be a little biased. Like I said, it's fine. I don't hate this movie. It's not awful or anything. It's a good sequel. 8 out of 10. But go ahead and comment down below. Tell me your pros and cons for this movie, guys. Halloween for The Return of Michael Myers from 1988. Please like this video and hit the little notification bell to see when my next videos are going to fall. Also, subscribe to my channel to see future horror movie reviews, as well as my continuing horror series of Halloween throughout this month. So that's all I've got, guys. Thank you for watching and stay scared. Bye.